Lost on a Deserted Island. Author, Agamora. Crossdress Small World, Part 2, Wearing Women's Outfits for the First Time. I woke up startled. Where am I now? Am I not dead? After my head was fully awake, I realized I was lying on a white sandy beach, next to a suitcase. I now remember the situation before, when the storm hit, only the contract fiancé rushed to save me. My heart has two opposite types of emotions. I felt cold because the friendship I thought was so strong was so fragile. Although I don't blame them for not risking their lives to save me, seeing the indifferent eyes of two of them, I don't seem to be worth much to them. Come to think of it, what's a useless person like me of any value other than family money? The other type of emotion is warmth. In the moment of death, if there is one person who defies life to save you, is it worth appreciating? Of course, I think that Lyra's deeds came from her kindness, but indeed at that moment, a little bit of my affection was taken away by her. That's right, where's Lyra? I had to meet her face to face to find out why she saved me. I wanted to meet her to tell her how much I appreciate her. However, I've been going around the area for a while and still haven't seen her. Besides, I realized, I was drifting into a little deserted island. This place is completely deserted, and there aren't any items that prove someone was here. In my mind, countless negative emotions compete for one side. I'm worried about Lyra. If before, for me, whatever she is, I don't care, but now, I sincerely hope she is still at peace. Although I know, that hope is relatively fragile. Not everyone is as lucky to survive a storm as I am. I'm insecure because I think about the future. I'm a useless rich man with no ability to survive. How am I supposed to survive alone in this fucking place? I desperately sat down on the sand, gazing out at the sea. My eyes are like those of a soulless person. Maybe I should just wait to die. I'm totally helpless, nothing can be done. The sun goes down in the west. Although I guess it's only about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, but on this uninhabited island, it's pitch black all around. Every cold wind that started blowing through me made me sneeze all the time. My body is very weak, maybe it's been cold from soaking up water for so long? Although I had drifted to the island for a while, the clothes on my body were still wet. But so what? I'm gonna die anyway, whether I'm gonna die of hunger or die of sick, it doesn't make any difference. But a moment later, I suddenly thought again. How can I die? My life was saved by Lyra in spite of her life. Even though she didn't really get me on the yacht at the time, maybe I wouldn't be alive if I'd let go of my hope to survive. At least I have to live until I meet Lyra. It is currently unknown whether she is alive or dead. How could I irresponsibly give up my life so easily? At all costs, I must survive. I opened the suitcase I was carrying and drifted to this island with me. Maybe there was something useful in it. First of all, I need to get out of this wetsuit. Otherwise, maybe tonight's cold wind will take away my little life. This suitcase is designed specifically for going to the beach. The lock is very solid, completely preventing water from entering. I breathed a sigh of relief knowing at least the rest of the clothes inside the suitcase wouldn't get wet. But when I opened the suitcase, I think I rejoiced a little early. What the hell is it? Dresses, skirts, bikinis, even women's lingerie, besides a few items. This must be Lyra's suitcase. My father bought it for her yesterday. This suitcase is exactly the same as mine because it's the best for the beach. Now I have to do. Could it be that my newly emerging little desire to survive was quickly extinguished? I sighed, mumbling a curse. Well, I have to accept it. What does it mean, compared to the hope of survival? Anyway, on this island, I'm all alone. I dressed in women's clothes, who can see? They're also my wife's clothes, not those of strangers. Unknowingly, I saw Lyra as my wife. Thinking about it, I immediately took off the wet clothes that I had been annoyed about so far. Men's clothes, which are already heavy, now absorb water even more. A wind blowing across me made me cold through my bones. I need to get dressed quick. I am not in the habit of wearing clothes without underwear. So the first thing I took out of Lyra's suitcase was a pair of pink knitted women's panties. Unexpectedly, my future wife with a strong personality owns all cute lingerie. This panties is pink with a pretty heart pattern. Holding it in my hand, I don't know what to say. This is too feminine. But what choice do I have? Actually yes, Lyra brought a few lingerie set. But the rest of the ones I looked at were just as feminine in design as the one I was holding in my hand. If so, what else is there to think about? I quickly put on these panties. The first feeling is that it's quite light and comfortable. I imagine the unpleasant prospect of wearing women's panties, but in fact I felt the opposite. This panties is very light but made of knitted fabric, so it stays warm quite well in a cold place like this island. Next, I try to find a long outfit as possible if I don't want to freeze to death in this cold weather. In Lyra's neatly folded clothes, I finally found a blue beach dress. Although this dress had no sleeves, it was the longest dress I could find. Of course, Lyra prepares the clothes for the beach, not considering survival on a deserted island, so she doesn't take the hot clothes with her. This dress is also extremely light and comfortable. I was wondering, is it possible the women's clothes are always this light? If so, it would be unfair of the men to have to wear rough and heavy clothes. Initially, I was in a bad mood when I had to temporarily wear Lyra's clothes, but now I don't feel so bad. It's kind of an experience. I took advantage before dark to build a simple tent from things I found in Lyra's suitcase and things that drifted into the island. In fact, there's also a forest on this island, but I don't go into it when I don't get to know it very well. As a rich man who's been served since birth, these things are like nightmares to me. But after hours of trying, at least I managed to build a rudimentary tent that was in no way more rudimentary. Having gotten lost in this situation, even if I wanted to be a useless guy, I wouldn't be able to. I also found a couple of logs nearby and used the lighter from inside Lyra's suitcase to start a fire. Fortunately, there were still a lot of useful items in the suitcase, so at least I don't have to survive in pristine conditions. Thanks to the tent and the fire, I managed to get some sleep that night after a long and so much has happened day. But, at midnight, the dew started to rise. I could feel the cold in my chest and legs, making it impossible for me to sleep. I felt unsettled, necessarily thinking of a way to solve the problem if I didn't want to fall ill the next day. I opened Lyra's suitcase again, to see if there was anything that could keep me warm. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to pull out a bra and a pantyhose. To me, wearing a pair of women's panties and a beach dress is beyond imagination. Initially, I only wore them because there was no other way, so I didn't think of wearing any other women's items. But the current situation left me with no choice. I sighed. Unexpectedly, a rich young man like me also had a day of strain to the point of wearing a woman's clothes. But then I thought, wearing women's clothes is not such an unpleasant thing. At least, I discovered a new horizon. Without this incident, how would I have known that women's clothing would be 100 times more comfortable than men's? After thinking clearly, I no longer feel shy when I have to wear more women's bra and pantyhose. But the problem is, wearing these things is really not that simple. The pantyhose are so easy to tear that I sweat in the cold weather to wear them. But at least I did it after being careful. And the bra brought me a great deal of sorrow. I wonder why girls can fastening the bra hook in the back so easily. After struggling for a while, I still couldn't fastening the bra hook. When I was thinking of giving up, I thought of a way to fasten it first and then put it on. Although this way is a bit of a reverse, but I have no other choice. Although I only wore 2 more women's items on me, these 2 items made me feel very different. Unexpectedly, the thin, easily tearable pantyhose made my legs warm up. The bra wasn't as warm as the pantyhose, but at least the cold feeling in my chest had diminished a lot since I wore it. Only, the tight feeling in my chest took me a few minutes to adapt. It's a strange feeling, but to be honest, I don't hate it. It took me a while to fall asleep again, this time a very deep sleep. To be continued. Today's story would like to stop here. Thank you for watching. Please like and share for people with similar interests to motivate me to develop my channel. Goodbye and see you in another story.